Hi y'all, Joni with Tune In Yaya here, today bringing you a guided meditation. My guided meditation today is going to be about 11 minutes long. This is with the intention to help you get started on a path of creating a ritual for yourself to be able to dedicate time to yourself daily or a few times a week just to get started with a practice of mindfulness. I found that on my journey, I very much appreciate doing a reading for myself, pulling some oracle cards. And so that's how I'm going to start that today. This is also how I start. This is also what I share with you in my new course that's coming up in January called Mindful Moments. This course is a foundation for another course that I'm working on called Mindful movements. Forgot the name for a second there. And in the mindful movements, I designate a flow, a yoga flow to each of the chakras, as well as songs, because the songs have mantras, and that's also part of what I go over in the foundation course, which just helps you to get started with breath awareness, being mindful of your breath, taking some time out for your day to just sit and breathe and have a solid focus, or to try to start having a solid focus, because it does take time. You will understand that if you are in a meditation practice or have ever tried to start one. It's about just getting the time down, and that is what I go over in mindful moments, like I said, which starts in January. Today I'm pulling a card from my Rave I'Ching Oracle deck. This is a deck that's based off of the human design, which is a modality I follow that talks about, it's kind of like reading your birth charts and things like that. So it helps you to get to know yourself a little better. It also helps you to get to know the people in your life and how they might relate to you on this bigger journey, right? So that's one of the reasons that I truly love reading for myself and for other people, is because I always find that something sits, and it feels good to just sit and breathe and think about something. Gate 30 is the card that I pulled for you from my deck. And I have a few different places where I go and actually pull information to give me more insight. And so the pointers that I have for you today is that we are in the gate of feeling, the gate of fire, or the clinging fire is what the Oracle deck actually says. And we're working with line 1 in the Kwa. There are 6 lines in each stanza or each symbol, and those all represent a different part of the journey. But the gate itself is the journey, and then you can think of different steps along the way to get to a specific place, right? And so we're working with line 1 today, and this is also known as the Kwa of Brightness. And it is so interesting that this is the one that I bring to you today, because when it's talking about brightness, it's talking about that inner fire, that inner self that you are connecting to when you sit down to breathe, when you're saying, hey, like, what's going on here? What is going on with this experience? Why am I frustrated about this? Like, what's really going on inside that's causing that frustration? Or why is it that I don't have enough time to take 11 minutes to sit down and just breathe? Like, what's so busy that I can't just sit here and do that? Because the benefits of just sitting and breathing are so amazing. Once you allow yourself to start getting into it, it can feel really good. It can also be really hard because life gets in the way, and maybe you go a few days without doing it, or it's not about sticking to a specific plan and how it has to be done, but it's more allowing yourself to recognize that a lot of times you do have time to do it. And if sometimes you fall off the wagon for a few days, that totally happens too. So just try to stay with it as much as you can. The Kwa of Brightness, with attention, we can replenish our light by connecting to ourself. That's something that I pulled from my readings. Strengthening our wisdom gives us better ability to reason so we can live more fully and peacefully. And then present awareness helps give rise to surrender and balance by accepting what is, right? When we allow ourselves to surrender to certain things, we can begin to bring ourselves back. And it can be so liberating to get out of some of those things that we are allowing our minds to be pulled towards, right? So I invite you to think about that. That is one of the things that bringing a mindfulness practice brings to the table for you. It brings you tools to help get yourself out of those spaces sometimes, because it's not easy. Or even just Taking time to acknowledge that you were in those spaces is also so important. So bring yourself to a comfortable seated position. I'm going to guide you through this meditation. I've got my little timer on my watch, and so I'm going to tell you to get comfortable. You don't have to sit with your feet on the ground. You don't have to sit with your legs crossed. You can lay down on your back if you want. Find what works for you, but allow yourself to get comfortable, shaking out the body, and really trying to get aligned. You want to try to make sure the ears are aligned with the shoulders. So if you're laying on your back and your chin is way up here, most likely that's not going to happen. So a lot of times when people lay on their back, they don't even know it until they think about that. So you might need a little pillow or just like something little soft right underneath the nape of your neck to help bring you back into alignment. Push the backside of the body into the ground if you're deciding to lay down for this. If you're sitting in a chair or you're sitting cross-legged, work towards aligning the shoulders over the hips. Work towards bringing the ears over the shoulders. And then we allow ourselves to pull ourselves in both directions, whether we're laying down or seated, allowing the crown of the head to be pulled up, the sits bones to be being pulled down, and that gives you just this nice foundation to work with. Now, if you need to move during your meditation, please do. If you need to shake it out a little bit, if you need to slouch a little because you're finding this a little uncomfortable, it takes time sometimes to build our body into a place of feeling fully comfortable here for a longer amount of time. So take note of that as you're going through this practice with me. I'll tell you to close the eyes. We'll get started with our Ujjayi breath, right? So our Ujjayi breath means bringing in and breathing in and out through our nose. As you breathe in and out through your nose, allow yourself to feel the air going in the nostrils and out of the nostrils. Allow yourself to feel the air coming in the nostrils and down the throat, into the lungs. And then same thing, out the lungs, out the throat, out the nostrils. As we allow ourselves to become more aware of the breath, our attention can draw a little further inward. Our breath can become more silent. This is how we begin our practice. If you find that you get distracted, that is what you come back to. You come back to that breath and you allow yourself to go back inward. And that might be the best that you can do is just focusing on the breath for a few minutes. The next step here is practicing a mudra with me, which is the middle finger and the thumb. This is the meditation that I automatically did today when I started doing my own personal meditation, and I found that interesting because the middle finger in my mudra book is said to be governed by heaven, and then the thumb finger is said to be governed by fire. And so when you are connecting with that inner part of yourself, right, this is a beautiful mudra to start with. I also go over mudras in my course and classes and through my channel. You'll find it is something that I like to incorporate in my practice. And so bringing the middle finger and the thumb finger together if you choose, allowing yourself to continue to breathe deeply here, still with me. And then we allow ourselves to come back to that focus, the gate of brightness, the gate of feeling. Our feelings and things are not always easy. The more we connect with what's going on in that feeling, the more clear we become. And then sometimes some things begin to fade away because we recognize this same experience no longer has a pull on us. This same experience, we know where it's coming from. We can find a little more balance in the moment. We can set some boundaries. We can have compassion for ourselves as we're learning. Continue to breathe deeply here, allowing the attention to draw inward. We go through that mental cycle of breath, mind and thoughts. And the guidance we've been given. Connecting with brightness, connecting with self. take note of sometimes when you feel a deeper breath come in or a little bit of a block. During those moments, it can be interesting to travel to where our mind was in our thoughts. Continue to pay attention to the breath and how steady it is, how deep it is, the sensation in the body, the feeling in the mind, and the awareness of that guidance. Trusting that any thoughts that come up may have something to do with that guidance. And when you get to that space of freedom, those few breaths, those moments, those minutes of silence, allow yourself to hold that. Pay attention to that sensation, that feeling that you get. When you allow yourself to just breathe, to just be. Begin to allow your eyes to flutter. If you chose to close your eyes, you don't have to choose to close your eyes during your meditation. You can keep your eyes gazing softly or at a picture. I like to use frequency meditation music when I'm doing my meditation in the mornings, and they often have some very neat videos to go along with them, waterfalls, geometric patterns to just allow yourself to kind of loosen your gaze and focus on those things for a little while is quite nice. A nice view in front of us is not something we always have access to, right? So if you do have a nice view, that is also an amazing thing. I like to do my meditations in my backyard a lot, and so that's another one that I like to share. I hope you enjoyed the meditation today. If you have any questions or if you have any suggestions, I'm also open to all of that. I like to offer these one-on-one sessions, so if you're more interested in hearing more about that, please reach out to me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for joining, and I hope that you're able to continue your practice, because I do believe healthy habits heal, and that is kind of like one of my big mantras and one of the reasons that I share things with you the way that I do. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.